Hey guys, welcome to Culture and People Podcast. Peggy, thank you for joining us. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for the opportunity to be here with you. I'm Director of Startup Engagement at Allstate. I've been there for about 3.5 years, and my background's in sales and business development, and I typically work with startups or in turnarounds at big organizations. So in this role, it's fun because I'm connecting promising startups and new technology with some of our internal business units. And then my team functions as a concierge to help make that whole process of evaluating technology and going through testing and contracts much faster and easier.
I love it. Such exciting work that Allstate's doing and that you're doing in that startup space. So thank you for what you're doing to nurture the human side of that too. I think it's really important. So Peggy, what is the best thing about influencing people and culture through your work?
You know what, in my role, I'm very fortunate in that I get to be outside the organization and do a lot of things externally and bring that back in. So bringing that outside into our groups and our teams is very rewarding because it helps us have a fresh perspective. And our business units are looking for new ways to operate and better ways to serve the customer. And sometimes the startups have some really neat ideas that make a whole lot of sense. And being able to bring them in and thought leaders in to help change direction and shape some strategy is very rewarding.
So all the connection of those ideas and people.
Yep, I love making connections with people. Networking, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I was not a big fan of networking. My undergrad degree's in accounting, so it's like, you know, not in my DNA, but after in sales and stuff over the years, I've just really gotten to enjoy it. And it's mostly about making connections that are beneficial and positive for both parties, right? And I'm just happy when I'm able to make that happen.
Yeah, I remember, I don't think, as much as I had an appreciation for networking, I'm not sure I had an appreciation for connector as a superpower for somebody. And now I know people like you and other people who they just go there automatically, boop, boop, go, and they just connect it. So really good work from you. So Peggy, I'm hearing from other leaders that engaging and talent and employees is a challenge. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a lot of people talk about employee engagement, and it is a struggle sometimes. And I'm fortunate in that a lot of the work I do is working with engaged employees that are actively trying to make change happen and to, you know, bring new solutions forward. So for me, it hasn't been a problem in this current role. But what I've observed over some of the other change management work I've done, I think that employees by and large want to learn and grow and be engaged. I mean, I don't know anybody that wants to go into work and kind of be, you know, left alone and you know, be bored all day. I mean, that's the worst. But they just don't know how to engage and they're afraid. And I think that fear of failure or of making a bad decision or of change itself just is one of the problems where employee engagement kind of falls short.
Yeah.
I think conquering that fear and helping employees get through that, managing that voice in the head that says, you know, hey, you know, you're over your skis here, you got to slow down. If we can push through that, I mean, we can come up with some successes that we didn't even know were possible. And I think that is probably the big area where we can help employees kind of get on board, because I think they really want to.
Oh, I agree. I think over time, human nature is we have seasons and it's cyclical, but overall, there are so many more people than 67% of our people that are disengaged, right? We put so many people in that bucket, but you're right. The ecosystem should be nurturing them and getting them to a place of more comfort, that psychological safety that if I fail, or if I am over my skis and I fall on my face, that you're not going to fire me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that safety is so important. And, you know, it's got to become a cliche now, you know, change is accelerating. Well, you know, it just like jumped off a cliff. It's going so fast with, you know, with this COVID situation, but it's still never going to slow down. You know, it's just technology is where it's at. And if we can help everybody, we're all in this together. If we can help everybody start to feel safe and take a little baby step to try something new and you know, start to build that confidence, it's a better experience for everyone.
Yeah, practice makes progress, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. What specific advice do you have for organizations who are like, look, Peggy, you see a lot of groups come through your startup. You also work for a great organization. What advice do you have for people who want to advance their culture or their people strategy?
The one thing that I go back to through some of the experiences I've had is it really comes back to communication. And it's not just telling people what we're doing, but it's communicating, what we need to do, why we need to do it, and probably most importantly, where we're going. That vision is so important to understand, because that's what the employees want to embrace. They want to embrace that vision. And we don't necessarily have to lay out every step along the road to get there, because we don't know. We have a few of the initial steps. Maybe we got some of the big ones we think, but getting people to buy into that vision, I think, is so important. And then secondly, it's helping them get on board. It's one thing to, great vision. Yeah, it looks great. And then people go back to work in their jobs and they're like, well, it doesn't apply to me because I'm over here doing this. Mm-hmm. So helping them understand what steps they can take to join us on the journey, I think, are important. And probably the third thing is repetition. Nobody learns the vision from one PowerPoint presentation. It takes the same message over and over and over again from all levels of leadership, so that people start to assimilate it. I know I have to hear a presentation and several times when we're trying to chart out a strategy before I can really, internalize it. And I think that repetition is so often forgotten. Communication becomes a check the boxes, here we're done. It never ends. It needs to continue, and there needs to be a feedback mechanism too.
Yeah. And what I love about what you said, Peggy, and I think this was intentional, but what, why, where, but there was no how, right? The how has to be the part that they get to be involved in, right? Otherwise, they feel as puppets and they don't have that ownership and buy-in that you're stressing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Putting in the how, there's got to be somehow a little bit of stuff so people at least know, all right, here's our first few steps, we think. But absolutely. I mean, and that's the fun part, and that's where you can start to engage employees in change and get them more involved, because it's fun when you can start to reimagine your role, as something different, and you're crafting that difference. And, I think that's hard to do. And sometimes leaders try to prescribe the path, and that's where the disengagement comes from, right? It's not a whole lot of fun to be told what to do every day, all day long. And that's why intrapreneurship is so, important in an organization. There's some amazing ideas buried in employees' minds. And the more we can find opportunities to open that up, the more we're going to all benefit. The company, the customers, everybody. Yeah,
I don't think people see that effort can have so many ripple effects, right? Inside and outside the organization. That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
So Peggy, what other leaders like yourself would you want to recognize and acknowledge, or even maybe be a potential guest on the podcast?
When I saw that question, I immediately thought of Maria Racho. She is our founder and president of our Intrapreneurs at Allstate group. It's an employee resource group, which is basically employees that come together, volunteer, and kind of build a network to talk about and do, activities that they have a common interest in. And 5 years ago, she and a couple other people kind of decided to do this Intrapreneurs at Allstate, and it's grown to over 650 employees. It's across the globe. They just finished their July Spark Tank Challenge 3-day hackathon they run every year. And she's just passionate about helping the business and employees bring ideas to life. Great person to know. I think you'll really enjoy talking with her.
I can't wait. And Peggy, thank you so much for connecting me with her. For those of you who know me, you're watching this being like, I can't believe Anna's not jumping out of her skin. I am. I'm so excited to learn more about what you guys are doing with your intrapreneurial culture. So thank you. We have just like really 10 seconds left, Peggy. What's one resource that you recommend to advance culture or people?
You know what? personally, I'm constantly reading. So it's not a specific book as much as it's leaning on mentors, coaches, and networking and meeting like-minded people that help lift you up and keep you focused on the right things. It rejuvenates me to have conversations like this.
Yeah.
And to talk to others that really want to help everybody do their best at work and have a fun, have a fun experience.
I love it. I agree. It fills me up. So thank you for being a guest today, Peggy.
Thank you.